The Bengals have built their team from the outside in. So you have wide receivers, and that's not the normal way you do this. Jamar Chase is great. T. Higgins, wonderful as well. You're paying nearly $70 million a year for two wideouts. It's a model that's really tough to sustain. The offense wasn't the issue last year. Joe Burrow, coming off wrist surgery, needed protection more than ever. And I think this was a Joe, we're going to keep you happy. We're going to bring back both of these guys. I wouldn't have done that. I would keep Jamar Chase. But, you're in a division that has T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. So there are teams that have good, impactful defensive players. But, the Bengals have firepower. They can win. They can win in dramatic fashion, and they can lose in dramatic fashion because that defense, and I don't know if they bring back Trey Hendrickson. He's 30 years of age, led the NFL in sacks. That, to me, seems to be the big head scratcher there. And I liken them to the Miami Dolphins. That, you have a quarterback you paid a lot to, and you got two wide receivers that you've built around. Waddle and Tyreek Hill. That's not a blueprint for success. Can you be the Philadelphia Eagles? No, not anytime soon. They built from the inside out. They built offensive and defensive line. If you look at great teams, sustainability, you got to have a great offensive and defensive line, or at least good offensive and defensive line. You can't be 27th in defense, third in offense, and make that work. It just, Kansas City, they were an offensive-minded team. Then they became a defensive-minded team. And then they ended up winning championships being a defensive-minded team. Chris Jones. And they ran the football. Patrick Mahomes, not the guy throwing 50 touchdown passes. But they adapted. They had to change who their identity was. The Bengals, they're going to be fun to watch. This just felt like we don't want Joe Burrow to one out. But they did go to a Super Bowl. But they went to a Super Bowl and at the time had a very good defense, respectable defense to go along with that offense. But, the salary cap's going to go up. Bengals signed these guys. Now what do? What can you do? Pittsburgh's going to be good. Baltimore, is going to be very good. Cleveland, they might be competitive. They're not going to make the playoffs. But the AFC, there's a lot of good teams there. But I think that surprised me that they signed, they were going to sign Jamar Chase. But they didn't have to announce that they were going to make him the highest paid player in the game, non-quarterback. And you don't have any wiggle room if you say that. It's not like you go, yeah, we were just kidding. We want him fifth highest non-paid. No, you made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the game. Could have done this a while ago. And T. Higgins could have done that a while ago as well. Yes, Paulie.
Going back to 2021, the Bengals, the year they made the Super Bowl, they had the 7th-ranked offense and 17th-ranked defense, which is not bad. I was trying to comp them to, remember the Rams with Kurt Warner back in the day and Torrey Holt and Bruce? Mm-hmm. And I just assumed they were all offense. For 3 years in a row, the Rams had the number 1 ranked offense in the NFL. For 2 of those years, they had a top 10 defense. Both of those years, they made the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You have to have something in the upper teens. If you're going to have a really good offense, you got to at least have that defense that can stop somebody at some point in the playoffs. The regular season is different. Teams are built for the regular season. Teams are built for the playoffs. Teams are built to win in all the elements. We can win on the road. We can win if it's going south. We can win if we're going north. We can win with our with our B game on offense. But you got to have your defense there that's able to be respected. Yes, Marvin.
And sometimes for teams that are even offensively minded, you at least need one big play from the defense. Almost like you said with the 99 Rams, they won a Super Bowl because of a great defensive play.
Yeah.
So that's all you need.
Yeah. There are teams that are fun to watch, but I don't know if we take them seriously. Like, I like watching the Dolphins. I don't think they're threatening. I think they're fun to watch. There's just certain teams where you go, yeah, they're fun. But it's just, if you want to win a championship, I mean, now the pressure is really on Joe Burrow when you think about it. We got your receivers. Now, I mean, he did make a Super Bowl, but I don't think there's any other quarterback who has two receivers as good as those two. Can you think of somebody else whose two receivers are as good as... Now, Jordan Addison's good. I don't think he's better than T. Higgins in Minnesota. Yeah, Paulie.
It's really not that close. I'm looking at some lists, and there's not two A receivers with a person. You could say Jalen Hurts has two very good receivers. I don't know if we could shoehorn into that level.
And people will bring up, well, the Eagles have wide receivers. They do, but they don't use their wide receiver. They don't throw the ball. I mean, it's surprising if they throw it more than 20 times. But they don't have to. They have a really good defensive line, a really good offensive line. And then you throw in Saquon Barkley. They're not asking Jalen Hurts to win games. The Bengals are going to say to Joe Burrow, Joe, we're spending a lot of money here. Yeah, Paulie.
Last year, the Philadelphia Eagles threw the ball the least amount of times of any NFL team, 448 attempts.
Yeah. Yes, Marv.
What about the Rams? Where do you put Puka and Devontae Adams?
Not as good as T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Because I think those two guys are better than the Rams two. I think Jamar Chase is better than Puka. And this isn't Adams 5 years ago. T. Higgins is really good. He's really good. So I would say that I don't know if there's anybody else. I mean, Waddle and Hill, but then I'd rather have Joe Burrow throwing to my receivers than, Tua throwing to those two receivers. And who knows how long Tyreek Hill is going to stay in Miami. I still think you'll end up with Kansas City. For some reason, you end up back there.